got that sexy transition. GG, Craig, aka Gatekeeper TV. Anyway, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to twitch.tv/ice cream uploads. My name is Graham Day, and this man, also rocking freshly combed hair. Who are we? This man is the man that we call Baby.
Good morning.
I'll read. Good morning to AWS players who's been sat in the chat patiently waiting for the stream to start. Well, welcome in, dude. First things first, let's jump into the comment in the chat. That leak was real, man. Crazy stuff. And I was like, which leak? But it means the Spider-Man. So the Spider-Man leak. So we were talking about yesterday Spider-Man on the PS4 okay, let me rewind a bit. The word's got a bit crap there. Start again. Avengers, the new game from Square Enix / Crystal Dynamics. It will have Spider-Man exclusive on the PS4. We had that as our main story yesterday, and it was confirmed tea time-ish in the UK yesterday that Spider-Man will be exclusive to PlayStation users. So anyone that plays Marvel's Avengers won't be able to use Spider-Man if they're playing on. You'd have to assume Xbox and Switch and PC if that's the formats that it's coming out on. If not, just Xbox at least. But anyway, good morning, Chucky as well. Excuse me. Welcome into the chat, Chucky. How's things? How's the Pez streams? For those of you that are in the chat, feel free to click on Chucky's name and drop him a follow. He has a nice little retro Pez series. Put some Euro Truck Simulator as well if you want to mix it up a bit. And he's a big fan of the channel, big supporter of the channel, and that's why he's got a VIP badge. So make sure you go for him. But anyway. Bib.
Yes.
Exciting week that we can't talk about, eh?
Yeah, very. Well, we can say that we're attending a preview event. That's all we can say at this moment in time. I always shit myself when it comes to NDAs, and not just metaphorically, because I am so scared of saying things that I can't, that I shouldn't say. But yeah, at this moment in time, all we can say is that we're attending a preview event.
It's a pretty exciting week in general. To be fair, we have a few things that we are working on off screen. So we have some potential partnership stuff in the pipeline too, which will be good for our community. Plus, we have a giveaway running, ! Giveaway in the chat. Plus, as Bib mentions as well, then we have some exclusive preview stuff which we've tweeted about previously as well. So all going on here at twitch.tv/ice-cream-uploads. So if you're new here, please feel free to hit the follow button. As Christo CT has done this morning on a couple of hours ago. I'm assuming you're trying to get that console, aren't you, Crystal? I know. But anyway, thank you very much for the follow. Anyway, much appreciated. But for those of you that don't know, my name is Graham Day. This is Bib, and we together are Ice Cream Uploads. And this is the scoop.
Thank you for the ice cream.
Ooh, and that is Ads hosting. Yes, thank you very much. Ads.
Yeah, legend.
So this is the UK's #1 video game podcast. Even if we do say so ourselves, and we go live at twitch.tv/ice cream uploads each and every single weekday at 10 a.m. ish. And if you're in the chat, please feel free to get involved in the chat. If you're watching, you don't have to. Feel free, shout out to all the lurkers. But if you can, use your voice on behalf of everyone that watches this on demand a little bit later on, because we turn this into a YouTube video and an audio podcast that goes on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Google Play. So everyone watching on demand gets the ability of, pausing, just being able to shut baby up in mid-speech and being able to get rid of Graham's fucking rants and stuff. Fast forward, but they don't get to speak directly to us. So if you're live in Twitch, then please feel free to use the opportunity to use your voice. Now, what did you get up to yesterday, babe?
Well, obviously we started off the day with our resumption of the scoop for the first time in 2 weeks, and then we played some Masters of the League. Thoroughly enjoyable as always, and I appreciate everyone that stopped by and hosted, subbed, everything else in between. Chris has redeemed a question and then not type the question.
I know they press it for. Usually the way that's kind of worked for me is I've hit the ask. They hit the ask a question thing, and I go, oh, question, and then either they'll type it in afterwards, or I go on then, fire away. But yes, fire away, Chris. Also good morning.
And then I went out for a curry last night with the missus. That was about us. Yeah, and then obviously me and you played PUBG until like 1 o'clock this morning.
Yeah. Bibby has been bitten by the PUBG bug as well, by the way. So which is nice. So me and Bibby for the last 2 or 3 nights have played PUBG until 1ish a.m. Yeah. There's a website for those of you who don't know as well. I couldn't sleep at like almost 2 o'clock this morning, so I'll send Bibby a link. There's a website called PUBG.report, and if you're streaming, it saves all your kills. If you've linked up your PUBG account, your Twitch and stuff, but also it shows you if you kill anybody else that's streaming. So I just had a quick search for my PSN yesterday, and found me and Bibby a game from not last night, the night before, where where we melted a couple of people, and it was a couple of German streamers, bless them, and you could just hear them like when we play. Clearly, there's differentiations in the ping. Sometimes it favors Xbox players. I thought it was all the time. But clearly, Xbox players feel the same about PlayStation players because we melted these two Germans, and it was like nine or whatever. Insert German language here, and then you see PlayStation, and it's like so yeah, these Xbox guys get absolutely melted. But there we go. Anyway, everyone is going crazy in the Avengers game Discord. Morning Enix, he says, not surprised. Yeah, that's not surprising.
My mate.
I mean, we did say yesterday it's not a good thing. We don't fully believe in it, but it is what it is. I did say though, Jordan, you said you didn't see it happening. I said it's very, very possible. Partially because they own the film rights and Sony has a vested interest in them. But also, I mean, simply put, Spider-Man Miles Morales is a big launch title, probably the biggest launch title so far for the PS5. Obviously, that may play out differently. Godfall might smash it or whatever, but this is the one that's marketing. That's going to be the big marketing brand for them right now because everyone knows it. It's got recent success. So, yeah, that. Why would you let Xbox have your biggest brand at launch? In theory, if you can pull your internal strings and throw a bit of money at it, so that you can say, actually, make that just exclusive for us. I mean, not saying that I agree with it, by the way. I'm also pulling the mic down, so it's better audio quality. Not saying that I agree with it, but if you can have Spider-Man as your big launch title, and Xbox go, all right, well, you can play with Spider-Man on Xbox, then that's probably what they've done it for. But I don't agree with it. That's it's still a separate game in my mind. And I know that Microsoft would have gone, okay, Spider-Man's out, but yeah, you can play Marvel's Avengers on Xbox for free with your free, what's it called? Smart delivery upgrade to your Xbox One or something like that. So they'd have used it in their marketing, and getting that in avoids that. I mean, people would have gone, yeah, but they wouldn't have done. No, they would have done. That's the way marketing works. This sort of like guerrilla attacking, sort of like, but not attacking marketing, which we even saw yesterday with the controller stuff, which we will jump into. That's our first story of the day. But Xbox would have been like, oh, great, right, okay, that's your biggest game. We have Spider-Man as well. That's it. Undermined, lol. So they've just taken that out of play. However, that's a shit move because it means that anybody on any format that wants to enjoy that full game doesn't get to enjoy the full game. They only get to enjoy a certain amount of it. Yeah. Anyway, question from Hulkamani. He says, Bibby, who is the best ball player to come out of Scotland? Which ball?
If it's football, obviously it's Paul Dickoff. I don't fully understand the question. Is it baseball? Is it basketball? Is it croquet?
It's got to be foosball. I think he asked me this, and I can't remember what the answer. What? I mean, I think I said law, but he did say something in response to it. Excuse me, I didn't even mute it for everyone. Everyone gets that.
Asa Hartford. I'm just naming City players now.
I mean, if Spider-Man was going to come to the Avengers game, it would be fairly obvious he would be exclusive. It's still not fair, but come on, let's not play dumb. Who's playing dumb? But yeah, it's absolutely stupid, the fact that something so big like that. I mean, it's easy in a world where the MCU exists, the Marvel Cinematic Universe exists. It's easy to downplay how influential. Well, it's easier to downplay how influential Spider-Man is as a Marvel superhero. Because obviously that all revolved around Iron Man and Captain America. It started out as being Iron Man's story because he kicked the whole thing off and it was amazing. Robert Downey Jr. absolutely sold it. But then it, over time, morphed into more of the original like comic book angle that Captain America is the leader of the Avengers. And eventually we got to that point. But Spider-Man... it's bizarre. I've mentioned the 2002 Spider-Man film about 5 or 6 times this last week. Someone tweeted a picture of, I don't know if it was Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins or something. I can't remember who it was. A WWE guy, anyway, like a dodgy figure. version of it, and I tweeted a picture saying it looks more like Bonesaw from the original Spider-Man film. And ever since then, I've mentioned it like almost every day. But that film was massive. Like I say, the branding, the font style was on the PS3 console. The UMD disc came with it. The film box office smashed. I mean, Spider-Man 2 and 3 were shit, but the first one absolutely nailed it and reaffirmed how big, how influential Spider-Man has been since the 70s and how big he is. The fact that that's just on PlayStation consoles now, it is a bit shit because, yeah, the whole thing about the Avengers is you get access to all of the Avengers. Imagine playing FIFA and it's like, yeah, you get the City Squad, but Aguero's only exclusive to PlayStation. You're like, fuck, he's a big part of the City Squad. It's like, I'm sorry, mate, it's console exclusive. You only get Aguero on the PS4, PS5.
Yeah. Well, like you said yesterday, with Spider-Man obviously being a PlayStation exclusive, if it's cross-platform, you're obviously going to be able to see him. If you was on Xbox and I was on PlayStation, I had Spider-Man, you're obviously going to see him, but you're never going to have the chance to be able to play as him. So surely they must have something in the pipeline. It may not be as big as Spider-Man, but for something to entice Xbox players to want to be able to pick that game up, surely. At the moment, they've just been left on the back burner now, haven't they?
Yeah.
You feel you're disgruntled before you even buy the game because you're not getting the full experience.
It's knowing that you're paying the same price effectively for a game, and you don't have access to all the content. It's essentially what it is. I mean, it's not exactly what it is, but that's essentially what it is. It is what it is. Where was Jordan's comment? To be fair, the way the game is structured, with set characters for missions, etc., I think there will be just be separate Spider-Man missions. That's the point. You pay for DLC, you are paying for extra missions, usually in a game. So that's essentially what it is. You're missing a full Spider-Man DLC, but not DLC, as in core game content. You're just missing it. Excuse me. Oh, there we go. That was the answer. Who's the best ball player? Jockstrap. Whee!
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, that's why I forgot it.
I'm surprised you didn't remember that.
I like to create my own world-class puns in the moment. I don't save other people's, mate. I think I'll find. Anyway, I mean, if Spider-Man was going to come to the Avengers game, it would be fairly obvious he would be exclusive. It's still not fair. I've read that one already. Now, some people are acting so surprised that it wouldn't happen. Yeah, we couldn't have Legends, I remember. That's true. Legends were an exclusive for... Was that? I can't remember if it was either they were exclusive to Xbox and not on PlayStation, or exclusive to PlayStation, not on Xbox, or something like that. Chris says, it doesn't bother me as a predominantly Xbox player. At least I can make Hulk go on his shield, not like the soft where Professor Hulk we got on Endgame. Dad joke on point. Yeah, we like the dad jokes. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't like software professors. At least I'm making... I get you. Yeah, I get you. Yeah. So Hulk should be this big angry smash motherfucker, not just a nerd. I know. Obviously, Banner is a nerd, but the point is Hulk's a completely different thing, not just a coder. It's just like, I mean, there was a few things that were off there, like the way that Thor was portrayed as just being a lager lout layabout with a belly kind of thing. But anyway, that's a complete tangent. Xbox had them. Yeah, I mean, see, everyone is quick to point the finger at PlayStation right now. But Xbox has been guilty of doing this sort of thing in the past. And people are quick to get on their soapbox when they are in the wrong, when they are being wronged, should I say. So Xbox gets exclusives. PlayStation fans stand on their soapbox. This is despicable. So PlayStation gets exclusives. So Xbox fans are going, that is horrendous. And the PlayStation fans are like, well, you did it to us. And it's kind of like, two wrongs don't make a right. Nobody is right. Everyone is wrong. It's horrendous that anyone is even doing this. Xbox mainly was just 30-day exclusivity until Tomb Raider, which was once. Doesn't matter. Once is wrong. Once is wrong. See, that you phrasing that as an Xbox fan, that's you standing on your soapbox saying, okay, well, ours was just a little bit bad, not quite as bad. It's still part of the practice. It's still part of I mean, if one side does it and the other side does it and it's legitimizing it, I mean, that doesn't make it more likely to happen. That just means that everyone is guilty of it. Nobody should do it for 5 minutes, for 20 minutes, for a week, for permanency. So Spider-Man being an exclusive to PlayStation is wrong and it shouldn't be happening. Legends being exclusive to Xbox is wrong and shouldn't be happening. Tomb Raider being exclusive to Xbox for a year or whatever it was is wrong and shouldn't be happening. Whether you think it's more acceptable, it's still wrong. So you're basically saying, oh well, that's a lesser evil. It's still evil. It's still evil. Just get rid of it. So yeah, Young Jay says, I'm flabbergasted right now. Hey yo guys, what are you flabbergasted?
Hello.
Flabbergasted about? Do you know what I'm flabbergasted? Because we're 25 minutes in and we haven't even hit our first story. We're still talking about yesterday's story at this point in time. Spidey, I love, but does it matter? I'm more bothered about the Pound Stretcher cast. They have tried to be Chris Hemsworth, etc. It doesn't look good for me. See, I don't mind that much, as long as it's good. Like I said yesterday, if it's someone trying to be Chris Hemsworth, I'm not a fan of it. If it's someone trying to be their version of Thor, I'm on board for it. Like I was saying yesterday, Heath Ledger's Joker is my ideal Joker. Bibby's ideal Joker is the way that Mark Hamill's portrayed him in a few different things. But they're two completely different things. They're not both trying to do the same impression of the same character. It's like Homer Simpson. If someone, is it? It's not Hank Azaria. Whoever does Homer Simpson's voice, if he passed away and someone else jumped in as Homer Simpson, you kind of have to get someone to be that voice and do it the same sort of way. That you can take with it. But if someone, that's shit analogy. Yeah, Homer Simpson's a bit different because he's a specific character on a long running thing. Rather than a reboot or in a different situation and so on, do something completely original is fine. Doing a knockoff. So if it's not Robert Downey Jr., like I said yesterday, what did I say? Like Robin Downer Senior or something like that. Yeah. So something like that that's similar but not quite right, and you just that jars on you because it's like I can see what you're doing, but it's not what it should be. Whereas if it's something completely different, like I mean, I'm not a fan of. Is it Jared Leto who did him in Suicide Squad?
Yeah.
I didn't like his portrayal, but it was different. So fair enough, go for it. The whole art style was different. Fair enough. You can see what they're trying to do. Didn't resonate with me, but you can give them a bit of credit for it. So yeah, if the characters are different with the reason, then yeah, fair enough. Go for that. Young Jay says it's 5 a.m. and I feel fully awake. Well, give it 3 more hours and you will crash, my friend. Agree.
Hopefully, we won't bore you to sleep here.
We will give it a try. Cesar Romero, Joker was class. Yeah, that's true. Dan Castellaneta is home and others. There you go. Good morning, David. Also, let's jump into our actual news now. So not straying too far, sticking with PlayStation. Oh, Iceman says Dan Castellaneta was Homer and also brought in to do his best Robin Williams impression for Aladdin 2. Really? Did not realise that. Was that Return of Jafar? Is that what it was called? And then there was like the 40 Thieves or whatever it was called. I used to like the Aladdin films, can you tell? Anyway, jumping into news. DualShock 4 works with the PS5, but not PS5 games. Written by Cian Maher for VG247. This article says, while you'll be able to connect a DualShock 4 controller to the PS5, it won't be compatible with next-gen games. The news comes from an official FAQ post published by the PlayStation blog. In a section tied to the compatibility of existing PS4 peripherals and accessories with PS5, it says, the DualShock 4 wireless controller and PlayStation officially licensed third-party gamepad controllers will work with supported PS4 games. Please note, not all PlayStation officially licensed or third-party peripherals may work on PS5. It continues. We recommend checking with the manufacturer to confirm whether a product will work on PS5 and specific titles. So, while you'll be able to connect your DualShock 4 to your PS5, it will only allow you to play certain supported PS4 games. We believe that PS5 games should take advantage of the new capabilities and features we're bringing to the platform, including the features of DualSense wireless controllers, reads the blog post. The FAQ also notes that specialty peripherals such as racing wheels and flight sticks for vehicular sims will function just fine with PS5 games and will operate as normal with existing PS4 ones. Meanwhile, Platinum and Gold wireless headsets will remain compatible with the new hardware, as will any third-party headsets that connect to the controller via USB or audio jack. However, the existing headset companion app will no longer work with PS5. PSVR hardware will also support PS5 games. All you'll need is an adapter, which will be provided to all PS5 owners with a PS5 VR setup at no additional cost. In related news, we will leave the related news there because it usually goes into something else that's off topic. DMAC, fresh from down in 27,000. What were it? Jaeger bombs or
Jaeger
whatever?
bombs.
Yeah. Welcome in. And how's the hangover been treating you? Anyway, welcome. Thank you very much for the hosting. Much appreciated. Thoughts, Bib. PS4 controllers do not work on PS5 with PS5 games. They do work with backwards compact games, but not
all of them.
compact. What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's a massive bummer for the people, obviously like yourself, that have a scuff controller that may not be able to use it going forward on a PlayStation 5. But I mean, I can't remember. I don't know if this is ever actually like the Xbox 360 controller didn't work in the Xbox One. The PS3 controllers didn't work in the PS4. The PS2 controllers didn't work in the PlayStation 3. The only time that it ever worked was PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2. Like, for me, this isn't a massive deal. Like, you are going to get a controller with your PlayStation 5. You don't need to go out, especially if you're playing a single player experience, fair enough. You may have to go, a multiplayer experience, you may have to go out and go and buy a new PlayStation controller to play a PlayStation 5 game, multiplayer, couch co-op style. But for me, this isn't a massive deal. We've had to put up with this for the last couple of generations. It is what it is. Like, the controllers are so much more than they used to be. It's not just a controller anymore. You've got the touchpad, you've got the light bar, you've got built-in microphones into the controller, you've got the audio jacks, you've got the motion controls, you've got the haptic feedback of the triggers. The controllers have evolved over time. They aren't going to be compatible. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it says in the article that it's only going to be compatible with some PlayStation 4 games when you're playing it on a PlayStation 5. Do you know? I don't know. I don't know what other road to go down, but for me, it's obvious. It's not a massive deal for me. I've only ever had 3 PlayStation controllers in my life. PlayStation 4 controllers. 2 of them are here, and one of them are left at my mate's house. But funnily enough, that's my day one PlayStation 4 controller, and this is the one from the PlayStation. The PES 2018 event. I've got the 20th anniversary controller somewhere that I left at my mate's house. So it is what it is. I don't dash them against the wall, so it's not going to cost me 50 quid every single time I have a game of PES. But yeah, it is what it is. You have to buy the controllers for when the new console comes out. I don't see it being a massive problem. Are you still muted, by the way?
Yes, I was. I mean, I was just a little bit of a tangent I was going to go on there. It's something I've never experienced before we jump back onto the actual main thing. Has anyone's battery in their DualShock 4 controller died? Because I've seen like a couple of people tweeting that the Graham, you mute lad. I shouldn't be now. I should be fine. Is it not unmuted now? Is it good now? Okay, there we go. So I've seen it a few times. Yes. Okay, that's fine. I mean, if it happens a few times, that's something. But I've got multiple controllers, some of which I've had for years, and I've never had a controller battery die.
No, I haven't either. The battery's gone shitter over time, but obviously, all batteries in anything, the more you charge it, the more is it lithium that's inside them? It starts to perish. So my day one controller, especially if I charge this, I'll be lucky to probably get an hour and a half out of it before having to charge it again. Compared to this one, I could easily get maybe 4 or 5 hours out of this one before needing to charge it again. But that's my day one controller that I've had since 2013 when the console came out. So yeah, it's the reason I still don't use this one. Don't know if you can actually see it. This is minging, by the way. It's been in my drawer for the longest time, but the analog sticks are just completely fucked. No matter how many times I put one of the covers over the top of it, the thumbstick things, it's just knackered. If I could replace the actual analog stick inside it, which I know you can, but I'm not technically able to do that because I would just break it and never be able to use it again. I probably would do, but yeah, it's. I've never had a battery die on, mate. I mean, that must be for the people who keep the pads plugged in at all times.
Do you know what? This doing my nutting. The fact that the PS4 pads bit doesn't fit on the screen and it overlaps out. So let's change that to DS4s don't work with PS5 games. There we go. We understand. Yeah, I've never had. I mean, the batteries have got worse over time, but they still all. I've still got. Yeah, I must have been lucky with that. I mean, it's probably worthwhile after my fucking luck with consoles in the last gen, multiple PS3s and Xbox 360. So it's paying it forward a little bit. But then again, I do have a lot of controllers that I used. I mean, it's almost exclusively my Scuff one now, but before that, I've got my Metal Gear one. There's one that I've never used there, which is a gold PlayStation FC one. I've got one that I had from the 2015 Champions League final. I've got a PES black and gold 20th anniversary one, and so on. So I have been cycling through them, so maybe that's not it. But anyway, back to the point at hand. The point at hand is that you can use all of those controllers on the PlayStation 4. PS5, but not with PS5 games because that uses the haptic stuff on new controllers. See, I want to use my Scuff controller. I have an expensive Scuff controller. I didn't pay for it. The guys at Scuff gave me this, so I can't show off as in like, yeah, look at what I bought. I mean, it was a freebie. But I really, really like it, and I would like to use that on the next gen. Just because I would like to use it doesn't mean that I expected to be able to use it. We are in a very weird time right now because last generation. As much as video game companies want to say they are very pro-consumer, they are pro-consumer after profits, and there was a clear distinction there. Whereas now that has been eroded to the point where brands don't get away with that as much. They have to be more pro-consumer, up front and like out in front rather than just being okay. We need to make money. It's a new console launch, whatever. It's not just about beating everyone else, but now you have to be good to your consumers, which is where backwards compatibility has come from. Which is where being able to take all the stuff and put it on the new consoles. That's where this talk of controllers has come from. And legitimately, there's not much that your DS4 couldn't have done. That a DS3 couldn't have done that a DS4 could. So if you took a PS3 controller to a PS4, you legitimate it from functions. I mean, there is some huge differences internally in terms of Bluetooth and the control pad and the light bars and all that sort of stuff. But most of the stuff from a PS3 controller to a PS4 would have been fine. And most of the stuff from a PS4 to a PS5 would have been fine. But I don't know, maybe I'm just different in the fact that I feel that that's last gen hardware, that's last gen stuff. I wouldn't buy a new TV and expect to use my remote from my old TV. Well, this is a 10-year-old Samsung TV. I've got a new Samsung TV. Why can't I use my old remote? But yeah, I mean, I just expect new hardware comes with new peripherals, new controllers, and new accessories. I know that there are some things like headsets and things like that. They are almost third party or aftermarket parts, like you would in a car. Something that adds functionality to it, but a controller is replacing existing functionality stuff. So I don't know. It doesn't bother me that much that I can't use the controllers because I didn't expect that we would be at that point. And I think the fact that because one brand has done it, people are using that as a stick to beat other brands. So the fact that Xbox have allowed controllers to be used over generations, like the Elite one was when they first announced it, was that the new Elite controller, saying that can be used on the new Series X stuff. Because that's been a thing for Xbox for quite a while, people are using that to beat Sony, which I don't know. I don't feel it's a big thing myself. I mean, if I've got a new console that gives me new technologies and stuff, I'd rather look at that new technology. I know that maybe if I'd have paid 200 quid for my Scuff controller, then I'd probably be a bit more pissed. But I've paid for... It's like having a car. You pay for your additions to your Ford Fiesta, and then you get like a Nissan Skyline. Suddenly the extra stuff that you bought for your Ford Fiesta is not going to work on the Skyline because it's a completely different machine. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not that shocked or really bothered by it, to be fair myself. But yeah, that's my take. loads of people I've seen buying an extra PS4 pad in case the other died of battery so they can keep playing their games. Xbox swappable battery depends on what you prefer. See, I'd much prefer to have a chargeable battery. Because, I mean, environmentally, having swappable batteries is horrendous for the environment. Not only that, I hate the reason I have chargeable headsets now. I used to have a Turtle Beach Earforce X41 headset, which was wireless 7.1 surround sound, amazing, loved it. But it took batteries, and I hated it. You're in the middle of the game and you get those three sort of beeps to let you know that your headset's dying, and you've got like 20 minutes to get new batteries in it, and you're having to scrabble around. You don't have batteries in, and I mean, all that stuff. I'd much prefer to have a pad, and then with the pad, I always make sure I've got a fucking extra long cable as well. So if my pad is dying, I can sit at my console so that I can still play and charge and so on. I'm all for play and charge. I know you can buy play and charge kits for Xbox and stuff like that, but that's aftermarket parts. So you're having to pay extra for the play and charge kit. That's an extra 15 quid on top of the console, which already costs 45 quid or whatever. So neither one is good. I mean, the way that you were phrasing that, then, like, seen it a few times. Yes, battery dying. PS4 battery is shocking. Loads of people I've seen buying extra PS4 pads. Okay, we get that you're an Xbox biased man. How many messages you need to go through? But there are negatives on both sides of it. Go on, what are you saying?
Way back when, on the Xbox 360 days, I used to buy rechargeable batteries just to be able to keep on hot swapping them out whenever my pad was going to die. But nowadays, especially with the PlayStation controllers, you can't actually take the battery out or put new batteries in. But then again, you're just getting a real long ride to be able to charge your controller up. I think the Xbox controller that I have here has a sliding case at the back, which has some batteries in, funnily enough. These are just normal ones, they're not rechargeable ones or anything. But even then, the Xbox 360 give you the option to have rechargeable battery packs that you could slide into the back of it. Fair enough, they were shit.
That's what I've got on my Xbox One controller here. So I have an aftermarket, like a Venom battery pack that goes into my my controller, because buying batteries and having to go through that faff of being able to play with it is just like, oh. So I'd much rather have a rechargeable battery pack. I get the idea that people don't like the fact that it's built into a PlayStation, like on an iPhone or whatever. So if it goes wrong, you kind of have to pull it all apart. It's a ball ache to change, or you just can't change it. You just get a new pad. It's cheaper and easier.
Well, like you say, it's like mobile phones. I have had the Huawei P20 here. I upgraded to the P30. I would have done that if I could change the battery on this mobile phone. The fact that you cannot change your mobile and your battery on a mobile phone is absolutely criminal. This does everything that my new phone can do. I wouldn't have bothered changing it if it didn't start to die after going to 30%. It did 30% and then just die. And it's absolutely criminal that you can't. If you was to take this to a shop, they'd probably give you like 80, 90 quid for it. They would then rip it apart and change the battery, but they would probably also charge you £90 to get your battery changed because you can't do it yourself. So it becomes irrelevant, really. You might as well just get the money for it. It's still there because I'm going to take it on the golf course with me and stuff like that to use Shot Tracer. But apart from that, it's a useless piece of shit. You ain't going to use that as your day-to-day phone because you're going to get 70% worth of battery, which it just flies down anyway. So you probably get half a day out of it before it dies. But not being able to charge stuff like that is criminal, and that's why it's annoying having to pay £50 for a new PlayStation controller when your battery becomes, non-existent. But I've had this pad for 7 years. If I hadn't had to buy a pad, if I didn't get these ones sent to me, then I probably would have still been using this pad because I refused to pay £50 for a new one. I'd just grin and bear it for the time being. But if I'm having to go 7 years without having to buy a controller, I think that's a well-built pad.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Jordan's saying he gets 30 hours out of his Xbox controller, 8 to 10 out of his PS4 on full charge. Surely 8 to 10 hours is enough, though. If you're playing more than 10 hours, then you need a break.
I have never once, I don't think, sat there for 10 hours straight on a game. I can't do it. My head goes after about 3 hours. I find it hard to be able to stick into a mindset of a game for that long. But that's me. Everybody's different. I know. I woke up I said to you last night, I was watching Summit playing Guild Wars. I woke up this morning, turned my PC on at 9:30, and he's still playing Guild Wars. So that's a 12-hour stream that this guy's going through. It wouldn't surprise me if he's still streaming now, but I haven't got the mindset to be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I probably have done or close to it. Say if Danielle and Chloe have been out or away or something, and I've just played games. But usually after about 5 or 6 hours, they're just kind of like, "Ugh, I just need to go outside and get some fresh air or eat something or do something to kind of mix it up a bit. Or I'll change games. I'll play like probably a few hours into a Master League and then I'll play a shooter or something to
Yeah.
make it give it a bit more spice kind of thing in that sort of sense. But yeah, that doesn't fuss. It doesn't fuss me that much. I mean, what's everyone saying in the chat then? Jordan says we're in a weird time where it's new generation versus cross-gen, but money saving. Exactly. It is bizarre that people are demanding more. I mean, PlayStation and Xbox consoles, for what you get out of them, for how long they last you, are stupidly cheap already, and we're already saying that they should be cheaper by I want to use my console accessories that I already have, and I want to use this that I already have, and it's like, okay, well, you get rid of your phone every 12, 24, whatever months for another £1,000 phone, but your console, which costs you half that, and you have for 3, 4, 5 times as long, you're happy to say no. I want it all to come over. I want it all to move forward and so on. It is a bit bizarre. It is a bit bizarre. I mean, I understand the reasoning behind it, but yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, it's a generational upgrade. I mean, I think and that's the key thing as well. There's a difference in Xbox isn't promoting generations. Xbox is promoting access to an ideology, a system, whereas the PlayStation is a generational upgrade. So it kind of makes sense that they want to give you access to the full generation. You want to get the new gen games and the new gen console and the full experience of that. You need the new gen accessories that come with it. If not, you're not getting it. So I see why people don't want it. Even from just an environmental standpoint, but I mean, I want that next gen experience. If I'm spending that money, I want the full experience of next gen. So if the game has haptic stuff, I completely need to be. I get that people say you should be able to turn off the haptic trigger stuff just so that you can use your old console accessories. I get it. I understand it. There is no real reason, I suppose, why they can't just go, okay, we'll turn haptics off. But maybe there is. Maybe there's a developmental thing. Maybe the haptic stuff, just changing it to okay, this isn't haptic figured in, means that developers have to develop even more to make sure that they can work with duff controllers, or by allowing developers to not have haptics in, maybe it becomes one of those things that nobody ever uses. If a developer doesn't have to use it and isn't encouraged to think about it, then how do they know that it's something that isn't going to be the future? If they just ignore, quite often people don't like change, and if the developers don't take the change or aren't encouraged to change, then we won't go down that line. So having it as an option to not use it, in essence, kind of makes it seals its fate before it's even been used in that sort of sense. Anyway, I'm waffling a lot. There's a lot in the chat, so let's jump back. Haptic feedback is one of the selling points of the PS5's infrastructure, and if they want devs to actually program it, then they have to. Oh well, there you go. This is what I was just talking. Then they have to make people use the controller that has it built in. Every console has a pad included anyway, so I agree it's not something to hold against Sony just because Microsoft are jumping out in front for the pro consumer. It seems like common sense to me that you want that new tech to be actually used. Xbox's new controller doesn't have anything real different about it, so there'd be a little point forcing the change. I mean, that all makes sense. Jordan, in counter to Chapper's point, says most devs probs won't use the function after the first year. I mean, I see where that's coming from, because you go into it now saying that we've seen it with tons of consoles, Kinect, 3D Rumble, touchpad. It's just gimmicks. Most people won't use it after its initial wow factor. New Xbox controller has low latency output, which is good for esports shooters and FGC, but not much else other than that, apart from being a bit bigger than the Xbox One controller. I get what you're saying there, but that's not necessarily the only outcome. I mean, if you've got a PS1 controller, you'll notice there's a very one significant difference in the PS1 controller to this, and it's these little sticks. When the analog sticks were added to the controllers, there was that conversation then. I remember. I mean, I was massively into my video game lifestyle then. It was fairly early on, and I remember seeing the sticks, and there was this conversation of why do you need sticks? I mean, we have an up, down, and left and right. Why do we need 2 more sticks putting onto these controllers and so on? Yeah, the rumble stuff kind of. People are saying, is that even? Is there any need in that? I mean, rumble, give or take, but the sticks have completely changed the way that people play video games now. It offers so much more from not just a controlling standpoint in terms of moving your character, but interacting with the world and being able to use the camera. And before that, why do we need 4 shoulder buttons? We've got an L and an R button on a SNES controller. That's more than enough. And before that, why do we even need an L and an R button? Because on my NES controller, I've got like these few buttons just here. That's plenty enough. So I'm not sure. I mean, haptic feedback isn't an addition; it's an improvement on technology in essence. So it might fade out and it might be a gimmick. It's very, very possible that it could be, but it could also be something that changes the game. And unless they kind of encourage people to fully utilize that and run with it, then it won't change the game. So yeah, it's a bit early to say most devs won't use the function. If they didn't have to, most devs won't use the function. But if they do have to, then most devs might think about how they can actually start to use the function. And it might be something that changes the game. Like having a Switch as a console that you can take with you and thinking about that. I remember when the Switch first came out, who saw the 1-2 Switch trailers and stuff and thought, well, this is a piece of shit. When you're watching people stood on rooftops playing games with their friends out in the open and in gardens at barbecues, and you're like, yeah, I'm not buying that. That looks like a piece of shit. And I genuinely thought the Switch was a horrendous Nintendo console where they're pushing this idea of, why do I want to pick up my Switch and take it outside? And that's not going to take off. And now look at the Switch, because they've changed the game. And if you don't like push ahead with that change, then you're not going to get there. So it might not be that. It might not be that. It might be a gimmick. But you never know if you don't at least try it. It's just when you turn the console off and don't charge it. I'm assuming that's PlayStation battery lifestyle. I mean, you get that. That's just an issue of when your battery runs out. If you've not charged it, it'll die. But that still applies to Xbox controllers, just not as often. It's still a thing, though. Just plug it in. Job's good. We did the better part of 3 days of Mario Kart. Yeah, I'm talking about PlayStation, though. Yeah, we did. Mario Kart, Tekken, fucking everything back then. Jordan says, the issue I have is that we're in August and still know barely anything about next gen. We've not seen people playing it, obviously, COVID. But if Phil has a Series X at home since January, why have we not seen it in action? Same with PS5, nothing on the UI, the triggers, etc., apart from the Jeff stuff. I don't think it's like there's lots of conspiracy theories about they're not ready, it's not fine, it's not out there. I think it's because there's not really much to show. There hasn't been stuff that's been built specifically for it. Most of the stuff that will be happening on the consoles is making sure it's stable and running stuff that exists already. So Phil Spencer was using his Series X at home since January in place of an Xbox One X. So it was essentially the same console, but a bit faster and so on. Whilst it's nice and it's a good soundbite to say I've been using it and it's lovely, and it's like, what is it really doing that's different? Not much, because there's nothing on it. There's no new games, no nothing. It's just the same console, but a bit faster. All right, nice. So I think that's pretty much it. And also, we're in this fucking horrible stalemate. Same with the price war. PlayStation aren't going to set their price until Xbox set their price, and Xbox aren't going to set their price until PlayStation set their price. But eventually they get to the point where they need to confirm prices so they can all start making pre-orders and blah. But I would expect that sort of stuff to kick off in the next couple of weeks anyway. As soon as we get prices and people can link that to value propositions, I think that's when we start to see more content from games, from external developers and so on. I hate this stuff without E3. This trip fed information with 3 months from console launch with no release dates or prices. Okay, let's quickly scroll through so we can catch up with comments before we jump in. I can be done to sit there for 8 hours if it's an immersive game, but if I'm streaming, I struggle to get beyond 3 hours. See, I can stream for hours, mate. Maybe because I have the world's most beautiful woman supplying me with food and drink when I'm on stream. Possibly that's what it is. But I mean, I streamed 7 hours of The Last of Us last week and could have kept going even further. It's just that it was going off because me and Danielle had plans and bits like that. But I don't know. When I'm on stream and I've got people there with me, I feel it's a bit. I don't know. Maybe if I was playing something a bit more repetitive, like a sports game, maybe not. But maybe it's because it was a immersive story like The Last of Us. But yeah. Yesterday was weird because I was still hungover from the night before, so I struggled through the entire thing. But actually playing a game for myself, I can do it if life doesn't get in the way. Agreed on the lack of info front. It doesn't feel like we're 3 months off release when this current gen were coming out. It was like a full year of hype had happened by the time they dropped. 100%. The new controller clearly has new features that will be vital in a lot of games. FIFA 21 is using something new in the controller. Madden is too, and people do not remember Rumble when the PS3 didn't launch with Rumble in its controller. People thought weird. It's so noticeable when it's gone. I think haptic feedback will be something that sticks. David says, back in my day, we had a joystick and one single fire button. We were happy to have that. Haptic feedback will be terrible for esports. Yeah, but that's the point, though. That's terrible. Just like rumbling is terrible for esports, but that's a one-dimensional way of thinking. Imagine pressure on your triggers when trying to shoot someone as quick as possible. It's all about speed in those types of games where triggers are mainly used. But that's the thing. It is terrible for esports, just like a lot of stuff in PUBG is terrible for esports. That's tweaked for esports, because casual gaming and esports gaming is completely different. There's doing it for fun and there's doing it for sport. And I know people see sport as being fun, but there are two fundamental differences between the two there. But it's the controller, not in-game content. The controller is your source of accessing that in-game content. So let's say, like rumble and vibration. A lot of games use rumbling and vibration. Pez, if you're taking a penalty, the party goes, woo, woo, woo. If it's an important, you're the last one and it can win you the game or lose you the game. If that was an esports, that you'd be playing on an esports controller that has the function turned off or removed entirely. And you have to feel that if it was an esports game, either esports will get to the point where, I mean, esports is developing. If the haptic trigger is a way for you to change your input, then that's a skill. That's not a problem as such. If that's something like the way that you press it becomes a skill. If it's too hard, too soft, it means the difference. That's where esports would excel. Esports would be like, okay, well, the haptic feedback gives me more control over my button press, and that's where esports professionals would set themselves apart. Or they'll just go, okay, well, we'll just have all or nothing, click or no click.
Yeah. If the haptic feedback, say it was graded out of 10, and 10 was like a tight control, so you'd have to pull it all the way down to be able to fire the gun. Surely in an esports setting, they'll just set it to 1. So like a slight tap, like a small bit of pressure will register your gunshot. Then it becomes irrelevant then, surely. Because the haptic feedback is determined by the developers of the game. It's not, the controller will be able to tolerate any kind of button press, but it's up to the developer as to how much they want to put resistance into the buttons. That's what they were saying when they were showing the controller off, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So a developer can choose to have it as a all or nothing, or have it as a multiple stages of it. But even if it's the multiple stages, the point of esports is that you have more tactile control over your opponents. So if a haptic trigger, if you're thinking that you've dropped that down to pulling a trigger to shoot as quick as possible, if that's the case, then the haptic trigger will just be one click is one click. But let's say, I don't know, bow and arrows or whatever. Let's say it is that. If you quickly press it versus like getting the right press, haptic gives you control that you wouldn't have had before. It's in the same way that up, down, left, right only gives you 4 or 8 directions, depending if you hold up and left at the same time. But a stick gives you more control. Is that something you should be worried about? Because the stick doesn't allow you to go within 4 directions. You could go an extra couple of degrees further. It's just that sort of thing. Rather than having a solid press on and up, you can use your stick to glide to the next left and right and so on. It's the same sort of mentality there, really. So by simplifying it to that point, I don't think you fully like grasping how much it could be. For straightforward yes, no presses, it's a no-brainer, but it can do that. They've mentioned that already, as Bib said. So yeah, would it be used in esports? Maybe not. And if it is, it'd probably be a long time, because esports is built on core foundations that are usually applicable. It's like speed, reactions, yes, no, input. Input is all. If you press it, it should happen. And if it doesn't happen, then it's broken. Which is why PUBG and things like that, esports, are a bit kind of wishy-washy for some people, because the RNG element of that kind of is counter intuitive to esports. Esports is about skill versus skill, not random versus random. But I wouldn't say haptic triggers is random if everyone is using them with a level of skill and everyone has the same playing field. But anyway, that's a long time we spent on one story. Well, 2 stories, actually. But we have quite a few. We're going to be kind of going backwards and forwards across stories for this show as well, because we have a few stories that all kind of link in nicely together, but we didn't know which direction to go. So we'll go with this one first. So speaking about PS4 controllers on PS5, not playing PS5 games, but they can play older games, which ties in nicely. So Grand Theft Auto publisher is planning to bring more older games to the PS5 and Xbox Series X. Take-Two CEO is sure there will be more in the future. Written by Tom Ivan for VGC, the actor says Take-Two expects to bring more existing games to next-gen consoles beyond the already announced Grand Theft Auto 5 for PS5 and Xbox Series. Excuse me 1 second. Nice chest burp, lovely. The parent company of Rockstar Games, which also counts 2K and private division among its publishing labels, previously confirmed plans to bring an expanded and enhanced version of GTA 5 to next-gen consoles in the second half of 2021. During a QA session on Take-Two's first quarter earnings call on Monday, CEO Struss Zelnick is not called Strauss Zelnick, not Struss. Strauss whatever. Mr. Zelnick said, in terms of your questions about other older titles being brought to next-gen consoles, we always leave those announcements to our labels, but I'm sure there will be more in the future. The next-gen version of GTA 5 promises a range of technical improvements, visual upgrades, and performance enhancements, while GTA Online will receive additional content exclusive to the new consoles and PC. A new standalone version of the Grand Theft Auto Online will also be available for free exclusively for PS5 players during the first 3 months. Another exclusive. But still, Take-Two said on Monday that GTA 5 has now shipped nearly 135 million units. Red Dead Redemption 2 has shipped 32 million units, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, figures and numbers. So more PS4 games will be coming to PS5. So even if you do want to use your old controllers, you will still have a transition period where games are coming forward. So I mean, I still would prefer to use my PS5 controllers, but if wanted to, I could play GTA Online using this. I'd probably play PUBG using this, I'd imagine. So it's not the end of days in that sense. Which way should we go? Okay. I'm sticking with that. We'll move forward. A little bit more news from Rockstar, saying Rockstar's parent says extraordinary quality of next-gen games justifies the £65 price tag. Written by Tom Ivan once again for VGC. Take-Two CEO believes it's an extremely modest price change. So Take-Two has said the extraordinary quality of its PS5 and Xbox Series X games justifies increased next-gen software prices. Last month, the company announced that the next installment in its NBA 2K series will cost $70 or 65 quid on PS5 and Xbox Series X, and the other game publishers are reportedly also considering raising their game prices on the next-gen consoles. There hasn't been a price increase for frontline titles for a really long time, despite the fact that it costs a great deal more to make those titles, Zelnick told GamesIndustry.biz. And we think with the value of we offer consumers and the kind of experience you can only really have on these next generation consoles, that price is justified. But it's easy to say that when you're delivering extraordinary quality, and that's what our company prides itself on doing. Ubisoft said in July that its first wave of next-gen games won't cost more than the current-gen versions, but the publisher didn't rule out PS5 and Xbox Series X releases post-Christmas 2020 coming at a premium price. Asked by GI.biz if he felt wider industry needs to follow Take-Two's lead and increase software prices for consumers to accept a price hike, Zelnick responded, "We just speak for ourselves. Obviously, we don't speak for the industry, and the industry does not coordinate on these matters, to say at the very least," which is obvious because that would be monopolization and antitrust. If the industry bunches together to do it, then that would be illegal. But anyway, the pricing has to reflect the quality of the experience, and we aim to provide the best experiences in the business. And from our point of view, it's an extremely modest price change, given that prices haven't changed for a very long time. Update! During Take-Two's first quarter earnings call on Monday, Zelnick was asked if increased software prices will be applied to all of the publisher's AAA games for the next generation consoles. "We're definitely announcing pricing on a title-by-title basis," he responded. Zelnick added later in the call, "We're applying this price point in the case where we think the quality not only supports it, but demands it. Production costs have gone up greatly, but most importantly, the consumer experience is more robust than ever before, and I'm utterly convinced that NBA 2K21 will be nothing short of extraordinary, so I don't expect that there will be any concerns." He also said Take-Two is planning to bring more existing games to next-gen consoles beyond the already announced GTA 5. We've already covered that bit. And the original story continued. Asked about increased next-gen software prices by the Washington Post recently, Xbox head Phil Spencer wouldn't comment on how much Microsoft's Xbox Series X first-party titles will cost, but stressed that games come at a larger variety of price points than ever before. As an industry, we can price things whatever we want to price them, and the customer will decide what the right price is for them, he said. "I'm not negative on people setting a new price point for games, because I know everyone's going to drill down their own decisions based on their own business needs." Amen. But gamers have more choice today than they ever had. In the end, I know the customer is in control of the price. And
be right back. Sam's phoning me. Sorry.
No worries. And I trust that system. See, I like that bit. That bit from Phil Spencer at the end. Just make the price be the price. Not all cars are the same cost. Not all games are the same cost. If your game takes a lot more time and whatever to develop, if someone really wants to play that game, then they will pay the price that it is worth. So some games coming out at 45 quid when other games come out at 45 quid. Let's say I don't want to badmouth any game. Okay, let's say a smaller game. I'll keep them generic. Let's say a smaller or a short game is 45 quid, and The Last of Us, which I just played through, is 45 quid, and they both come out at the same time. One of them you might feel aggrieved for paying the full price for, the other one isn't, but that's just the pricing. The fact that we only have kind of like 2 or 3 price points in gaming at the moment. You've got kind of like the low, middle, and high price points. That why does it have to be that? Why not just make it what it is? And then if people don't pay it, then you have to drop your price. But yeah. Ads. I did see that before as well. It made me smile. It's all about the foreskins nowadays. You get it right. And it says, of course, 2K. It justifies the price. Ad says FIFA's already £65 on PS4. Is it? Oh, we're talking about the top versions. And it says, just ripping off players again. 2K21 needs to be truly a next-gen product that blows everything else out of the water in the sports genre. See, I agree with that as well. I feel that publishers should be able to charge what they want to charge. They shouldn't be pigeonholed into it. Is it 20 quid, 25 quid? Is it 45 quid, or is it 60 quid? It shouldn't be one of those three. It could be 45, or 55, or whatever. You should be able to put it where it is, as long as it's good value for the user. If it's a game that has no internal activity in the forms of in-app purchases or season passes or DLCs or anything like that, then okay, I can see it having a higher threshold at the beginning to get people in. But if it's a game that does have a lot of in-game purchases or packs or loot crates or whatever, then I can't see where you're getting your justification from there, because if you're charging 70 quid for a game that has shitloads of in-game purchases and stuff, then what? It's yeah. I mean, there is balance within that too. I mean, that was a very, very simplistic way of breaking that down. But yeah, if you have good mechanisms to earn money off of your user base over a long point in time, and you're making massive amounts of profit, then you don't necessarily need to put it up, because yes, development costs have gone up. But if you're charging people for season passes or DLC or crates or packs or whatever you want to call them, then and still making shitloads of money, then yeah, the development costs have gone up, but also your profits have gone up. So there is both. I don't mind a video game company getting their just rewards or just desserts, whatever you want to call it, but I don't like them taking the piss. I mean, get you just desserts, but don't have your cake and eat it. There's a difference between those two things. Iceman says it may have if they weren't going to continue the aggressive microtransactions and loot boxes. Exactly. There you go. I didn't see that. There you go. That's the same point I just made. Agreed with you on that one. The fact that NBA 2K21 looks so weird written out in lowercase without spaces like that. It looks like some sort of someone's just bashed on the keyboard. The fact that the fact that NBA 2K21 is PS4 and PS5, they're going to charge extra for PS5 version. Yeah, it's the same as the PS4. Is it though? I mean, I'm not
though, is it?
I don't actually know. I mean, when I'm saying is it though, I'm not like pulling you out there or calling you out. I don't actually know. Chapper says, yeah, that's what the issue I have, because if games costing more got rid of the greedy and toxic MTX or loot boxes, microtransactions or loot boxes, we'd have been fine, but it won't. They'll still charge you out the arse for extras because it's a free-to-play model in a now £70 game. Shocking. Yeah, that's the thing I'm not on board with, and I think we're all in agreement in the fact that paying for something that's worth it, everyone will pay their dues, pay what it's worth. But paying what it's worth and then being stung for it again and again and again is the difference. If it was a free-to-play game, okay, well, they've got to get the money somewhere. And if I want to enjoy this, what is a wonderfully built game, without paying for it, I have to pay for it in some way or shape or form. 2K20 was probably the worst microtransaction for a game I've seen in my life. And if it's the same game, they're going to be charging more than the PS4 version. Chapper says 2K20 was actually better than 2K18. That right there was a joke. Same game, just better graphics for PS5. Okay. Well, do you know what? If you want to know what's coming to the PS5, nice little bit of a segue. I don't actually know if that ties into what I'm just about to say, because I've not read this article yet. But if you want to know what's coming to the PS5, State of Play returns this Thursday, August the 6th. So not tomorrow, but the day after, there will be another State of Play. And it gives updates on coming PS4 and PSVR titles. Okay, nothing about the PS5. Let's backtrack. So Sid Shuman, Director of Content Communications for Sony, says, it's been a while, but State of Play returns this Thursday with a focus on third-party published games coming to the PS4 and PSVR. We'll have a few some PS5 game updates on third-party and indie titles you saw in last June's PS5 showcase. The episode is weighing in at 40 plus minutes, and we've got a great lineup in store featuring plenty of new gameplay footage and other game updates. Can't wait to hear what you think. And just to be super clear, there will be no PlayStation Studio updates in Thursday's episode. There won't be any updates around hardware, business, pre-orders, or dates either. On Thursday, our focus is squarely on showcasing some cool upcoming games coming to the broader PlayStation ecosystem. Should be fun. The new State of Play episode airs Thursday, August 6th. At 9 p.m. BST UK time. You can watch it live on Twitch and YouTube. The interesting thing is this whole paragraph, I'm calling it now. Get ready for salt. Absolute bucket loads of salt. Either from PlayStation fanboys that want more news, or Xbox fanboys that are pointing fingers at the fact that there is no news about PS5. So they've gone, just to be super clear, there will be nothing about PS5 at all, is basically what that paragraph says. Guarantee PlayStation fans who haven't read that or haven't looked into it have gone, so we don't have the price. We don't know when it's coming out. What's the point? This is shit. All the games were crap. We've seen it all before. You guarantee there's going to be salt around that, absolutely, from both sides, blue and green. People going mad over the fact that there's no PS5 new update since the console is out soon. Rumours they're going to show SOCOM, though. People going,
I will lose my shit if the show SOCOM.
All about the Switch U, Capo.
Yeah.
People going mad. I mean, it's. I can get it now. I do get it now. I didn't get it before, but now we're so close on both consoles. I mean, the PlayStation 5 has only been announced. You only know what it looks like for a couple of months. So I get the fact that they haven't really done all of the updates on what it is and what it isn't. But it's also out in a few months, so that is just bizarre. At this point, by the fact that we get in to this point and we're not having any details on pricing and what you get with it and where you can buy it and stuff like that, I understand that is so frustrating. I mean, it's even more frustrating probably for Xbox brand advocates, because Xbox guys have known what their console looks like since 9 months now. Because it was last December when they first got the first news on it, but still don't know what it's going to cost or those level of details in it. It's so frustrating because no one's doing it better or worse than the other. Each one do whatever is right for your brand, but the fact is neither of them are doing what's right for their brand because they're waiting to know what everyone else is doing so they can do right for their brand. PlayStation, as soon as one mentions the price, I would be surprised if it's not within the same week we get the next price, or within the same day that we get the other's price. And we saw that yesterday with going back to the controller stuff. There was a tweet from Xbox UK. Let me see if I can find it, which tried to do the same thing that PlayStation did with the sharing games on PlayStation, where you got Shuhei Yoshida going, how to share games on the PlayStation? Passes it over to the other one. Thanks. And that's it.
Yeah.
They did that with PlayStation. So PlayStation's announcement about the controllers, the DS4's not working on PS5s for PS5 games, came out, and within an hour, Xbox had posted this. In case you missed it, Xbox Series X is backwards compatible with all Xbox One controllers across all games. Official Xbox controllers, Xbox Adaptive controllers, Xbox Elite Wireless controllers, SCUF controllers. They will all go forward and you can all use them in their entirety. But that's it. They're all just waiting. Like, Xbox didn't have that planned because they didn't know it was coming. They're all just sat there looking at each other. It's kind of like a Mexican standoff. Okay, I've got a gun, and I know I can absolutely fire the shit out of this, but you've got a gun as well, and I'm not sure if your gun's going to be better than mine or not, so we'll wait until you start shooting before I start shooting. PlayStation does something about the DS5, Xbox like, how? And I'm all for these little, like, bitchy snipes at each other, because it's, I mean, that's
Yeah.
as a social media content creator, that's kind of what you want, to be able to be a bit edgy on social media, being a bit of a dick as well. But it's I kind of like that. But the fact that that's all we have does make it just a bit shit at this point, where nobody knows what's happening with the next gen. We just want the prices. We just want to know where we can pre-order it, and all the fanboys can get their own stuff. The PlayStation guys will buy their PlayStations. The Xbox guys will buy their Xboxes. But it's everyone else in the middle that just wants the rest of the information so they can decide where they're gonna go. We just need to get to that point, and that's the bit that's fecking annoying. Ad says, I expect PS5 to be delayed. COVID's still a problem worldwide. See, I'm not sure, because there was that stuff we covered saying that they're churning out shitloads of them already. So possibly it could be possibly. Stockport Mackies are all shut because one member of staff got it, and whole workforce in the shop all got it. Unlucky.
Yikes.
Ad says PS5 will be $450, digital $395. Enix says PS5 will be $550. I think I've said $479, something like that. Chappers says it's like when Xbox said about used games not being possible at E3 2013 or whatever it was, and Sony, like an hour later, had a whole video creating taking a shot at them. Except back then we knew a lot about the consoles. Now they're chucking shots at each other and giving the people nothing. That's what I mean. And the thing is, though, as well, is like this Xbox snipe is trying to be the same sort of thing that Sony's snipe back then, but the context of it matters. Like that was around hard information. And features that should be there that aren't there. Like, you've always been able to pass your game to your mate, whereas Xbox was making it like, actually, no, you can't pass your game to a mate. That was a pure flaw. PlayStation controllers going forward isn't a pure flaw. That's never happened before, but they're making it into an issue. So it's not. The context isn't the same. I absolutely applaud the creativity around it. But the context is just a bit weaker, because it's like, give us fucking information and then we can celebrate with you. At the moment, you're just being a bit of a dick and you've still not even backed up your side of it. God. So yeah, I agree. Anyway, State of Play this Thursday, 9 p.m. UK time, for those that want to see. One final thing. Jumping into some more Xbox content written by Cian, Maher for VG247, is Xbox is getting a revamped Microsoft Store design. Microsoft recently announced that the interface for Xbox Microsoft Store is due to receive a complete overhaul, and a select few Xbox insiders will have access to it as early as this week. The previously rumoured announcement was officially made via a post published by the Xbox blog. Far more than a typical app update, we've rebuilt the Microsoft Store experience from the ground up to be faster, safer, and easier to use than ever before, it reads. I'm going to stop there for just a second and say, fuck yeah! PlayStation and Xbox both have horrendous stores, so anything that can change that would be good. Anyway, the post mentions that the new Microsoft Store is over twice as fast as the previous iteration and launches in less than 2 seconds. Our goal is to provide an inclusive and intuitive experience for everyone, and we're committed to making it easier than ever to find your next favourite game, movie, or TV show. The post reads TV, and I like how they put it at the end. Get out of the way. This starts with a fully redesigned navigation system, allowing you to jump between shopping experiences in Snap or deep dive into something specific. Measures taken to achieve this goal include enhanced search functionality via the implementation of improved filtering systems, a completely rebuilt wishlist function, an updated shopping cart, and increased transparency in terms of navigating cross-generation Xbox titles. The last part is particularly interesting when you consider that the recent reappearance of previously delisted Xbox 360 games on the Microsoft Store for Xbox One. Microsoft has also taken safety into consideration, noting that in an effort to ensure kids are not browsing the Microsoft Store without parental supervision, users must be signed into their account before accessing the store. Okay, I'm not 100% on that. I like the parental supervision stuff, but you can't just browse anymore. The fact that you have to log in is like getting your ID out just to walk into Top Man to look at some shoes that you might not buy.
Yeah, you should be but when you go to pay or something like that, it should be a password that you can put in if you've got a child's account or something.
Yeah,
that'd make more sense.
On top of that, all titles above the age rating applied to a given account will be completely inaccessible while signed into said account, even if multiple accounts are signed in simultaneously. These games will be hidden from promotions, search results, and so on for the accounts in question. I see where they're going from. Maybe it works in practice. Just in theory, at this point, I'm not 100%, but yeah, it probably. If they've put this much effort to it, I'm assuming that it works. We'll be rolling this update out gradually, so if you're an Xbox insider, you may begin to see the new Microsoft Store on Xbox starting as early as August the 5th, i.e. tomorrow. The post reads, the experience will be available for more insiders over time before it rolls out to all users this fall. The new Microsoft Store on Xbox is just the first of many updates we're rolling out in the coming weeks, all built to keep the gamer at the center of the entire gaming experience. It concludes. Stay tuned for more. Good news, good news. I mean, it's not sexy and exciting news. The fact that Microsoft are absolutely nailing getting their store news out is frustrating when they're not getting any news out about the Xbox Series X, but that's just part of the course right now. We've mentioned the stalemate and stuff, but the stores need an update. It's easy to forget because you get the game and it's on the game and you forget about how you got the game. You forget the fact that you had to drop into that horrendous store and the clunky shit and see the same games either on sale or, I mean, I know Warzone exists, and I know that I can get like what they call G coin. Oh no, that's Google. That's PUBG. Whatever the coins are, your Warzone coins, COD coins, or whatever. I know they exist, but don't tell me every time I log into the store that it's there. I mean, I know that's sales and mechanics. I understand that, but the issue is that it's so easy for me to see that, but so hard for me to get into everything else. But yeah, Xbox putting effort into fixing the store and making it so people can jump in and search better and so on. I'm all for that. So GG. And do you know what? That's another thing that they're doing. They've got their ecosystem nailed on. They've got Game Pass. They've got xCloud. They're fixing their store. All good stuff. All good stuff. So let's just hope that the console smashes it and the games smash it, and then we can have both, and everyone can exist with two consoles, and Xbox players and PlayStation players can walk past each other in the street wearing their own t-shirts and high five rather than spit it. Oh, that's not going to happen. Let's face it, that's not going to happen. People like Xbox players are going to crap it in their hands and throwing it at PlayStation players. PlayStation players are going to be trying to piss back at Xbox. It's going to be like that forever. People just can't be trusted to have nice things. That's just the end of it. Anyway, and that grim outlook at the world, let's stop throwing piss and shit at each other and let's wrap things up anyway. But yeah, I mean, quick one before we do start to wrap things up then, for you guys in the chat. Do you have any advancements on where you are leaning in terms of the console war? Are you getting both? Are you getting both straight off? Are you prioritizing one over the other to begin with? Or are you just prioritizing one over the other completely? Or are you still unsure with the information that's been released yet? Do you need more before you can decide? Is the price the biggest factor? What are you guys thinking? What do you think, Dave?
I think I'm heavily invested in the PlayStation life cycle at this moment in time. That's where I've been for the last 7 years. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I've spent more time playing on my PC than I have on my PlayStation, shall we say, for the last year, maybe even 18 months. But the amount of digital games and the amount of physical games that I've got on my PlayStation, it wouldn't make much sense for me to go out and buy them games again to play them on the Xbox. That's where I stand. When I have eventually, that's what Samantha was phoning me about before. I think she's found a cabinet to put all my stuff in behind me. So she's going to get that measured up for me while she's down there.
Nice.
Until I start to show them up there, the amount of Xbox 360 games that I've got compared to maybe PlayStation 4, shits all over it, but my PlayStation 2 collection shits all over the Xbox 360 one. And most of the time, I've ended up buying the same game twice, unless it's Skyrim or Resident Evil, which I've ended up buying 5 or 6
72 times. Oh, yeah, sorry.
So it's a difficult one in terms of not wanting to buy the games again, but it most likely will be the PlayStation. That said, how much I end up playing it compared to how much I play on my PC is, I'm not too sure. There will be games or console exclusives that I will want to play on my PlayStation, for instance, and some sporting games as well, because sporting games, the ones that I play anyway, don't seem to do that well online when you're trying to find people on the PC. So I will still be obviously playing them on my PlayStation 5 eventually. I mean, the only Xbox that I've got now is the one from the office, which was on our desk. And I play that now mainly for playing Warzone with my brother, or playing any Xbox Game Pass games that I can't play on PC. So I think I'm probably going to go with the PlayStation 5, and perfectly honest, just because of the backdated catalogue that I can potentially play.
Yeah, I think that kind of sits with me. And unless something comes out, be it a wonderful price offer that I can't refuse, or something within video games that completely changes my mind, I think most people will make those the same decision as well. Nothing. It's kind of like the smartphone war. A lot of people like iPhones. A lot of people like Android phones. And most people that are on Android phones, I've got no reason to go to an iPhone. And most people with an iPhone, I've got no reason to get an Android phone because most of the stuff they do is the same. And until something comes out and completely changes the game, then people are going to stick with what they know, and I think that's probably going to be the same thing until we get more information, which has kind of been the theme throughout this. We don't have all of the information, but until we get more, we could expect most people to be sticking with what they know already. But there you go. On that rather disappointing bombshell, that people are going to buy what they like. Ta-da! We will wrap things up. Thank you everyone that's been in the stream, though. We've had quite a lot of people in, and a lot of people sharing opinions as well, which is nice. The Switch U will be revolutionary. It says ads player. Stop this Switch U talk. You might as well write Matecham or French Eddie or whatever. Just keep doing this. But yeah, thank you very much everyone for dropping into the chat. We are going to end this episode of The Scoop. We'll be back tomorrow with more Scoopalicious content. Before that, though, we are going to end things, jump off, and then jump straight back on with some PUBG. Yeah. Woo! New weekly missions are in PUBG today. So it's week 2 of Season 8. So we started Season 8 last Thursday with our Twitch front page time. We had best part of 3,000 people watching us playing PUBG at the peak. There was like 60,000 people over the course of the day. So nice. But today, we're going to jump in, just have a nice few casual games. So stick around for that if you want to get involved. But before we jump off and jump back into PUBG Bib, anything that you'd like to add?
Yes, of course. As always, ladies and gentlemen, if you do see any video game news knocking around the social media platform of your choice, then do feel free to get involved. There's 2 ways you could do that. Well, first of all, find us on all of our social media platforms. Ice Cream uploads across absolutely everything, all the major ones, not like MySpace because that's kind of dead now. But all you need to do is just tag in the name or the article of your choice, along with the thoughts and impressions on that. And then the second way is to go into our Discord. Obviously, this is only really applicable to the guys that are in the chat now. If you're not already in there, just click the Discord. There's a place in there called The Scoop. Same thing. Drop the article, drop your thoughts and impressions. We will then give our thoughts and impressions in the very next show, which will be at what time tomorrow, Mr. Graham Day?
10 a.m.
Ish.
Couple of things to mention at the end of the stream. First things first, I believe today is the PS Plus update. So if you're on PlayStation, the PS Plus should be out. So you've probably seen a lot of people mentioning Fall Guys. Video game that looks pretty fun. That should be available free for PS Plus users today, as well as that. The Modern Warfare 2 remastered campaign, I believe, is also included in PS Plus. So both of those are free. If you're on PS Plus, make sure you grab your free games before they disappear at the end of the month. You've got a full month to go, so you don't have to rush, but get them. As well as that, let me type this in the chat for you as well. So another link in the chat. Exclamation mark giveaway. Our pinned tweet on Twitter shows you that we are giving it away. An Evercade retro gaming console and first edition collector's coin. We had 2 of them, so we decided to give one away to our community. So there you go. Check out that tweet and link through to player.gg within the tweet, and you've got multiple ways to enter for a chance to win yourself a free console. Doesn't cost you anything to enter at all. Job's good. That's it. We are going to drop off. We will be back on the channel within 10 to 15 minutes ish with some PUBG for a few hours. So stick around for that if you want to. If you don't, then bugger off. Whatever. I don't even care anyway. It's not like I'm wearing a PUBG top just for the sake of it, or whatever. Anyway, thank you very much, everyone that's been here. Have yourselves a fantastic day. And until next time, Bibby has a message for you. Oh, does it? I don't know if he does. No, the audio's couldn't.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think I do. But ladies, what?
There's a massive desync between you and me. Okay, do you know what? I'll just say
right,
it.
Okay.
Have yourself a fantastic day.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you can.